It's Lil Satan, and welcome to the Cool and Conflicted's third showcase series, the final series for the Bone and Dragon weapons. So for this series, we've already covered prior to the military, the king, his son, and the general's weapons. And for this, there's more or less another character who it's so hard to explain without you guys knowing the entire storyline, but is a daughter to a main character who will eventually become a apprentice to Kelson, more or less, and she will be dipped into that dragon blood and become one of them as well. And with that, her weapons are designed to be similar to theirs, but also with her own entire unique spin to that. So, as you can see, her sword, is very similar to their main carcass sword, as in has the extended handle like theirs, has a tiny little skull on the bottom, except theirs has a bigger one, she has a smaller one. She has the carcass there, but the arms holding hers is more similar to the same arms that were holding the generals, as it has the little dragon heads at the bottom. You can see that her blade is a little more sophisticated and more clean cut, more of a fine blade than a jagged. She has this hook at the top that's bone, and then she has a six-eyed skull coming out the bottom. It still has the skin on it, but you can tell it's aging because the skin's real tight to it. Very similar to theirs, but more upgraded in a lot of ways. We made this out of, the handlebar is made out of a chieftain from Halo, one of the STC exclusives, a chieftain. His gravity hammer, we just cut the bottom off and cut the tilt off and put it in the carcass, which the carcass was made out of a Dollar General skeleton, another rubber skull just like the rest of the other skulls we had. The arms, from the green to the entire silver, you can see right there, those metal pieces are used as the same general's chainsaw was, which are parts from the snake armor Skeletor from He-Man. The skull we mentioned is actually a Resistance from the PlayStation 3 game, Chimera, one of the aliens. We just cut his bottom jaw entirely off and placed it back there. We felt like it was good because of the fact, like I mentioned, how the skin looked like it was just withering away, kind of. And then the blade is also from the gravity hammer. It's a broke off piece from the gravity hammer, but the bottom piece is actually a jagged metal piece that's from the general's mace that we used. We broke off another piece of that and put that right here at the bottom. That's why it's a little more jagged than that is. And then the top is a random bone hook scythe that's just hand sized that we had lying around that we used the tip of. And that builds her primary sword, her primary weapon. Unlike other characters, we don't normally go with shields because of the fact, we believe, like with any medieval, if you were in a suit of armor, there's no use of a shield because you are wearing a shield, so there's just no purpose in it. But some characters are wearing a lot of armor, and we build them shields is very rare. But this time we built her a shield. As we can see, there's a handle back there, strap to hold it on. Side view, upwards. So the shield was designed, it's got several different blades. You got this flat, jagged one right here. You got one right here, more hooks to it. You got random damaged end blades just there at the bottom. Same with the tops, just a hooked, jagged blade, kind of like this one. 4 feet lying down. There's a face dead in the middle of it, and then at the back there's a bone handle to hold it, and then a rope strap to put over your arm to hold it. We made it out of a Lord of the Rings shield. I don't remember who. It's just a random offhand character. The actual shield base is, and then an Onimushu or Onimashi. There was a samurai game. They had a figurine made by McFarlane, a bunch of samurais. They had a female samurai. We used her tiny hand shield to be put in there as another shield base. So it's a shield on top of that little shield, it's just a smaller shield. and then we used the WWE, what was it, Triple H, Skull King Halloween Edition, and we carved his face out and then put it on there. And then the blades are just random extra blades we had left over from all the blades we've been using for making this whole series. And we just put those tips on there. And the feet are from the Dollar General skeletons. And the handle of this bone is the same bone handles we used for Kelson's chainsaw. So it's just the actual longer piece to that. And this rope that we used to be able to go over your shoulder is actually the rope that was holding all the Dollar General skeletons that were lying together. Then she has a shield that she can use for bashing, which will do quite some damage, and it can block any attack that comes into it. And very intimidating as well. And once again, that was the whole purpose. And her massive weapon, her power weapon, her secret mega weapon, her big time, comes this hand scythe, or more or less a hand blade, I guess is a lot of ways to say it, because of the fact the idea of it is you can see it's very long. This is from the front, more of a top view, side view. And remember, they're all going to be taped in black and white, so they're not painted right now. But as you can see, the idea is you put your hand right through there, you hold on to right there, and you'll be able to use it forward, which you can jab into with these, slice straight down with both of these, upwards with both those as well. If it gets real close, you have that right there. Out to the side, you have both these horns, and down at the bottom, you have this blade and this hook coming out the bottom right there. You still have that screaming head right there, which if you look, this green is actually, there's teeth there, and in the front, and the long, it's supposed to look like a jaw with a burnt, more or less skeleton head in there. So you're holding him forward as he screams. It was made out of, we used a tree branch from one of the other dragon chainsaws earlier, and this is the top piece to it, and this piece right here is a lower piece to it. We just cut that off, we moved it up higher, put it there. This piece at the bottom is actually a dragon tail that came from a random Imaginext dragon. You can see the hinges right there. We removed all the spikes, and these handles are actually extra extra on the hammers to the axes from Warcraft. At the bottom of the skulls, there are these bars that were hard plastic on them. So we carved the skull out of it, plucked the skull out, and then had these hollow bits just left over. So I didn't have anything to use for them. I figured they would be perfect size to cup an arm. So we just heated them up, bowed them in a little more so they're a little more narrow, and placed them right on top of the tail. That we cup your arm right in there, and hold on to this spike. This blade is a random extra blade we had from making the rest of these. So it was just carved out, placed right on the top. The head you see in there is actually an Al Simmons unmasked Spawn head. Just the bottom jaw was cut off and put in there, and if another piece from another Spawn neck armor, just another jaw piece from it, just cut and placed right at the bottom. And these are, I believe, there's a female Mari, or God, what is it? A voodoo priestess, basically, from McFarlane, and she has spikes or horns coming out of the bottom of her arms, bottom of her forearms, and they're just jagged and angled like this. So we cut those off and placed those at the sides, almost like it's horns coming out the bottom. And then this red scythe right here, I cannot remember. We've had it forever, literally. We've had this red scythe and this bottom red scythe for about 4 years or so. Since the beginning of our customizations. It was on a small hand pole, which just clips on. Actually, I think it's from She-Spawn. Now that I think about it, yeah, it's just random. It's put on a pole, and it clips onto another pole at the bottom, and it becomes a giant scythe, kind of. And it's very, very, very weird. Very, very weird. But we've had it for a very long time. We just put them on the bottom of here because there's 2 jagged blades. And then this giant blade is actually flip it around, and it goes right here on that cut off bit that's cut straight through there. That goes there, and it's just cut off and placed right on top of that blade. And then you get her hand blade. A very longer piece, a very big piece to hold, easy to hold the shield, and at the same time, or you have her long sword. But that's all of her weapons, and that actually finishes out all the dragon barbarian type warriors we have in weapons. But while we were making this series and set, we ended up making or being inspired to finish out 2 more weapons for a character, which is Skullman. Spelt skull, but then M-U-N-N, like Mun. And for when he ends up in the apocalypse, he starts out in the Babylon story under Lucifer Christ, and when he ends up getting exiled and ends up in the Amorphous universe during the time their world's like ending and like destroying because of Cthulhu, he ends up finding someone and killing someone out in the desert and using their body to make into his weapons that he needs, because there's really no items he has there, and it's just like he's in the middle of the desert after it's been hit by a nuclear bomb, more or less, like a laser. Well, it's a laser shot from a satellite used to kill everyone there in that country, to use those souls to unlock Cthulhu, to bring Cthulhu there to destroy the planets. So it's just a wasteland in the desert. And when he finds that body, he ends up finding that body. That person found a katana blade, and ended up killing him for the blade and used his body to finish making it. And with that, there's the katana we were just speaking about. As you can see, it's a very slick blade placed on top of a round plate, put on top of 2 skeleton hands that it's holding, pushing it upwards, or sending it out like Kamehameha, kind of. Nice, beautiful wrapped katana hilt, nice little handle. We got this jagged bone finger almost coming out the front as a handguard. A vortex diamond that you can see almost looks like an eyeball in a lot of ways. Has a copper chain at the bottom leading down to a goat skull. It's one horn broke with a very where's the color? The same diamond set comes with these. Very metallic in a lot of ways. Like marble, metallic all together. The actual katana itself was built from a Sigma 6 katana blade. It wasn't Storm Shadow or Snake Eyes. I cannot remember who it was, but it was a random katana hilt. It was built. We had that placed on a round pivot we had. We had a set of Monster High skeleton DJ hands meant to hold a fishbowl. We cut the bottom of the hands off and just placed them right around that, so it looks like it was holding it. We had a random bone piece in there, so we put it on there so it had a handguard, so it still looked like it was homemade, kind of. It's supposed to be the hands man and killed for it. And the chain and skull to the goat head is supposed to be as a reference to working for Lucifer Christ steel. And I like the idea of having this katana over your shoulder and just having this goat skull hanging there as your charm, just hanging over your head, hanging right on your shoulder, right next to your head. And then he'll have a third weapon, but he'll have a pistol sent to him by Lucifer Christ, to him. But we haven't built that yet, but that wasn't for this line, because this was more or less the bone line, so we're just building this while we were doing that. And for the other weapon we came up with for his secondary, I wanted to do something with the head of the person he killed, and we already were using the katana with the hands, and I like the idea of using like basically a duster, or more or less knuckles, kind of. So then we came up with the idea of taking this right here. As we can see, you almost have a handguard duster spiked. You can see you have this screaming, burnt skin peeling head, the barb duster coming out the mouth to the top of the head. You have this wooden pole and peg coming out the top of the head. The back of the hollow head, you have this metal handle to hold right here. That way you can punch with it. Hit down with it. You can just hold it. And why would you hold it? Because of this extra little fire piece right here. Snags in right there, and boom. If I took the time to put it in right, guys, it actually holds in, and boom. You hold it right here, and now he has a torch for out in the night, for when he's in the desert, when he's in the apocalypse, when he's trying to navigate this ruined and destroyed planet. It's ending, trying to find a way to get back to Lucifer Christ and his planet. That way he has a torch. Nice little fire. Put the torch out, and then still use its brass knuckles and use its hitting. And if not, you got a really cool scene. You got a really cool looking bone katana over his shoulder. A little goat's charm hanging right there next to his head. And got this little torch going in the other hand. And straight midnight Skullman, if you could guess, it's a skull head. As a helmet, originally uses a skull helmet and mask theme, and then ends up Lucifer Christ. They end up having parting ways, having a bunch of troubles, and he ends up burning Skullman's face and branding his daughter's soul to his face, which brands a pentagram across his face. So he has the back of his head from ears back is human, and the head forward is skull, and then carved in burnt pentagram across his face, and then there's carved in symbols in his eye sockets, but you can't really see him because of how dark his eyes are. And so it's like he has demonic magic, and you can still see because the soul of his daughter is branded to his face, and that's why it's the pentagram. So you can just imagine that look, holding that katana and torch, and you can just imagine it's going to be a very epic look. And when he's in the apocalypse, we'll try and go with a hooded theme, and like metal pieces over the straps and hoods, and a lot of cloth to keep him hidden because he's trying to stay covered in the desert, not knowing where he's at or from this planet. So it's going to be pretty epic. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Eventually you guys get to that. His figurine is not made yet. His concepts are down and designed, as you can tell, being told now. But this is the end of the showcase series for the Bone and Dragon series, for their weapons. Their bodies and their characters will be done. When their characters are done, they have a few more touches to them, and they were already halfway painted, so when they are finished up, they will be in the showcase series. We will continue the showcase series and have another showcase series up and ready to go soon in the next few days or into this week. And that will be mainly on either more weapons that we've built for another military, maybe Newport, which is more of a British nation that's from Amorphous, so maybe we'll show you guys their military weapons, and Pierce's weapons, and Nick's weapons. So maybe we'll get that out of the way, and then the rest of the showcase will be either more weapons or also other characters we've built, as more or less showing you guys them in detail, getting to know some of their characters, and just more or less showing off what we've built for it like we did with the weapons. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what you guys think. Thank you. Like and subscribe. And remember, have a wonderful day and stay beautiful, honestly.